All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Hey, I don't know about you, but that bagpipe music will really get you going this morning, right? Every time I play that, I know it shocks some of you guys as we kick off this morning call, but hey, Scotland is coming up. So many of you guys are on track to hit that thing coming into this, third month of this year. So many of you guys have so much production that you're on track to hit that thing within the next 2-3 months. So let's keep pushing and running for the Scotland trip. Got a really cool call planned for you today because you guys are going to get to hear from an agent who did over 5K just yesterday. And she's been an agent for years now. She's done very, very well. So I'm looking forward to having her on here. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, though, and tell you guys who it is. But as we jump into today's call, awesome job so far this week. So many of you are running to new heights, and I love seeing it. So let's jump into the verse of the day as we kick off this Friday morning call. The faithful love the Lord, or the faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Wanted to share this verse with you guys because the interesting thing about God, right? As you give things up to him, you give your anxiety, give your stress, give your career, give your family, give all of that away, right? No matter what, his love's unconditional. You cannot do anything to make that love go away. So think about that as you go into this weekend. All right, you should have the full peace of him no matter what's going on in your life. But think about that verse as we jump into this call and as we wrap up this week. I want to give some agents a big shout out yesterday. Check it out. Big shout out to my Keisha. She had 2 apps. I think she might have had more than that yesterday, but I saw her post these ones at 6 o'clock at night. Way to push there and have the power night for her, setting herself up for success. Big shout out to Julie. I don't know if Julie ever doesn't work. I think she works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But here's another example of that. 5 o'clock at night, she's posting another sale out there. So nice work to you, Julie. Big shout out to Kay. Kay definitely doesn't sleep because it's 11 o'clock at night and she's posting another policy. So way to go, Kay, posting that Omaha at 11 o'clock at night. Big shout out to Ivy. Ivy went out there just determined yesterday, and she had a 5K day herself. She said she was $30 short. We're going to give you that one, Ivy. Just say you hit a 5K day, right? 5K. Posting apps at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So nice work to her. Big shout out to Becca. Becca unlocked a $265,000 fact finder, right? Crazy. All right. People just had money sitting there, didn't know what to do with it. And she's going to be able to help them out quite a bit with that one. So way to go, Becca. Big shout out to KZ. All right. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Kaylee is coming on the call today as she had a 5K day herself. Just yesterday. So many of you guys, I could have screenshotted our whole agency chat and given each and every one of you a shout out, but super proud of you guys. So many of you pushing hard, so many of you putting in the power nights, right? And we see the hard work that you're putting in. So super proud of you guys there. Don't forget, Online Learning Academy is live. If you're a new agent, I highly encourage you to jump into that and to watch the first course that is put on there. Also, if you're experienced, I would encourage you to enroll in that and subscribe to the email list, because as we put new trainings out on that platform, you will get emailed and notified them. We've got a lot of cool ones coming on, from the telesales training course to the health trainings to the different carrier products. A lot of cool features going live on that Online Learning Academy. So if you've not had a chance to yet, make sure that you enroll in that. You can find the link in the agency WhatsApp chat underneath the announcements tab there. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on Kaylee here. Kaylee has been crushing it here this year, and she has a lot of experience. I'm looking forward to picking her brain and having her share some words of wisdom with you guys. So KZ, welcome to the live feed. How's it going this morning?
It's going good. It's going good.
Awesome.
For Friday is going to end out the week strong. So looking forward to today.
Me too. Friday is always my favorite day. I don't know. Mondays are kind of my favorite day. Mondays used to be my worst day ever, but now with this job, I like Mondays kind of the best. But yeah, we're going into the weekend. So Kaylee, we did not plan this call, right? I know you asked me for a list of questions, but I'm like, I'm not going to share the list with you. We're just going to roll right through it live. So if any of you guys have questions for Kaylee, you can post them in the agency chat. Can't promise you that I'm going to see them, but I'm going to do my best to look at this phone. Okay. Alicia's been getting on to me because I don't respond to messages that good. You guys all know it. I respond in my head, just not on the phone, but I'm looking at your messages right now. So if you guys have a question for Kaylee, don't be afraid to put it in the chat. But Kaylee, give everybody an intro. All right. I know who you are, but a lot of people watching, they might not know your story. So just share with them, what were you doing before insurance, and then what got you into it?
All right. So back in 2019, I think Adeline, my daughter, she just turned 1. I had 2 nursing jobs at the time, and I was back in nursing school to do LPN to RN. And I really don't even know how we were living. Like, I don't know how I was making it through life then. I really don't. I try to think back, and it's just crazy. But anyway, so my sister, Taylor, she went behind my back and got licensed with Alicia and you, and started. And all she did was,
how dare you, Taylor?
like, she told me after the fact too. And I'm like, well, when did you do this? Because, we both were nurses. We were both back in school, and, we talked every day. So yeah, we were back in school. And so one day she told me, and all she had to do was just show me her phone with a couple bank deposits from where she went out and wrote a few policies. I said, well, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to do it. So I immediately jumped in. Me and her got in the car. Like, I think we were in the car together for maybe 2 weeks straight. And I said, okay, I'm good. And I'm running, I'm going on my own, and hadn't looked back since. So we actually stopped. I think we had like a couple semesters left of the LPN to RN transition program. And we sat down and talked with our spouses and our parents. And we said, I know this sounds crazy, but my vision was, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be all in. I don't want to be part-time and, only giving this a little bit of my energy, and I'm going to just give it my all. So I quit everything. I worked a 2 weeks notice at my nursing job, or both of my nursing jobs. And just, I remember those conversations, like with my boss, like it was so, they think you're going to fail. And that was kind of what gave me that drive to, like, just show everybody, like, just sit back and watch and let me show you what I'm about to do. Cause I knew I could do it. So I that was where my belief started to build. And, that's what drove me to succeed.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, Kaylee. It's just like you said, you don't remember how you were like surviving back then, right? I was the same way. I was talking to Alicia the other day, and it was like, back then when she was a nurse and I was in the Marines or whatever, we think about like, how did we even afford to live back then? It's crazy just with how expensive everything's gotten, little kids and stuff. But Kaylee, question for you. So you've got this established job as a nurse, right? Like, that's not a low-level job, right? A lot went into that. Schooling, a lot of hard work, clinicals, you've got a good, stable career. And then you're like, I'm just going to give that up to go knock on people's doors and sell insurance. Like a nurse that's listening to this right now is probably like, what? Like, why would she do that? So give everyone an idea. Like, what was that like going from, and I don't know if you were working in like a doctor's office or a hospital, but then going door to door and helping people with insurance. What was that like for you?
I mean, it was scary at first because it was kind of the unknown of what's going to come of this. But I mean, you stick to the, how everything is laid out. You're coachable. I remember, blowing up you, Alicia, and my sister all the time of, hey, I need help with this, What do I do here? Can we role play my door approach? Can we role play my presentation? So I just became obsessed with trying to figure out how to learn everything, how to become a master at everything. I remember practicing in the kitchen with Joe. Like, I would just do it all day, every day until I got it down, perfectly. And, if you're listening as a new agent or someone that, is potentially going to become a new agent, those first 90 days, max it out every day that you're working, because once you get that, 90-day window behind you, like it's only up from there. Like you want more and more of that experience to, get you to where you're just out there, as an independent agent on your own and just killing it. Like use the training and the resources that you have right in front of you. I had to stick to my schedule with this job. Nobody's telling you to go to work. Nobody's having you clock in. So it's not like you have to be at work at a certain time or you have to work until a certain time, but treat it the same, work the same hours that you were at your previous job. So just stick to it and have that belief, be coachable and put in the work.
Was it tough for you, Kaylee, going door to door? Like, did you get door anxiety? Right. Like, I think a lot of people would think that's like scary, right? Especially for a girl to be going door to door and doing all that. Have you ever like had that door anxiety that some agents get, or what's that like?
Like in the very beginning, yes, because, it's like, I don't really know what these people are going to say. And I had it in my mind, like, oh, like I'm a salesperson now. And so I had to get that out of my mind. And as soon as it finally clicked in my head, as I'm here to help these people. And so I started thinking of myself like, I'm an advocate, I'm an advisor, I'm a social worker type of role. They've requested this information. I'm just here to go over it. And as long as you, make yourself seem that way when you're talking to them, they open the door to you. Tell them why you're there. Hey, I'm here to go over that information that you requested. They just send us out to go over that. Shouldn't take long, and I'll get you checked off my list, and make it very, casual and not so salesy. Like it was when I had it in my mind, I'm not a salesperson. I am simply helping these people with whatever it is that they need help with. And that's my job. And as soon as that clicked for me, that's when it took off. But once I was out of that anxiety window of, me and my sister rode together for a couple of weeks, and I said, all right, I'm good now. I can go knock on anybody's door. So that's how it came about.
That's such a good tip of just being out there to serve people. I think it takes so much pressure off you as the agent when you're just out there to try to help people with what they requested. And for the people that, are like, get off my doorstep, I don't need this. Well, they don't need your help, right? So just move on to the next one. But it makes the job so much easier when you're not trying to put so much pressure, on that. So let's talk about this, Kaylee. You've, well, we'll jump right into it, right? So when you got started, instant top agent, right? Doing 10K plus a month. You had a $5,000 day yesterday. So what goes into that kind of number? Like a lot of agents seem to struggle, especially new agents, with just getting to like $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week. But I think right off the start, you pretty much always hit 4, 5, 6K a week. Yesterday, you hit it in a day. So just give everyone, an agent, just kind of like the tip to success of being able to hit that kind of production.
Yeah. So, it's crazy because if you follow the system, it works. It really does. And we can make this job so complicated and like, oh, why isn't this working out? But if we just go back to the basics, like that's all it takes. And, if you go into a week where you don't have leads, you don't have anybody to go see, you're not going to hit your goal. You're not going to do well. So, you've got to have leads plugged in. I ordered leads Sunday of this week, the Sunday before that, the Sunday before that. You have people to go see. So I had, several leads plugged into my, map yesterday in several counties, but the county specifically that I was working in, I had more than 20 leads, more than 20 opportunities to go to. And so just, having the preparation of having all those leads plugged in, the addresses and everything, where you're going. I knew where I was going to start and the map I was going to take, or the track I was going to take. And then, I was training an agent yesterday and we went to the first house, not home. And I was like, let's try the neighbor. Like I see the storm door was, it was just the storm door that was shut. Somebody's home. and just simply maximizing every house that you're going to. Also, that lady that was at home, I stood right there on the front porch and called her. She didn't answer the first time. I called her again. She answered, and it's just like, why not? You're there. I used to just say, oh, the ones that aren't home, I'll call them later. Just do it right there when you're on the front porch. You'd be surprised. Some of them are inside and they just can't hear you knocking. Or the ones that are working, which that lady was, you can set an appointment with, hey, I was swinging by today. I was in the area, but sorry, you're at work. I apologize. We can set something up and I can come back a different day. You prefer, mornings or afternoons. Bam. So just really maximizing every lead that you go see, whether that be knocking, calling, neighbors. You really are just trying to find a warm body at home so that you can talk to and help.
That's awesome, Kay. That's so true too. Like you have to work the lead until you're like, you get a definitive no or a yes. I remember doing the same thing. Go knock on. It's really interesting about this job. If you're doing field sales, in-person sales, you go to a house and there's no cars there and you don't think anybody's at home, but then you knock on the door and there's like 50 people in the house. And then the houses that have like 50 cars, but maybe like none of them work in the front yard. And you think, okay, someone's got to be here. They're never at home, So it's like you can't judge it until you exhaust every means of knocking on the door, calling them when you're in there. One thing I used to do too is I used to sit in the driveway if they didn't answer the door and I'd call them. But then if they didn't answer multiple times, like doing the second ring, that's a golden tip. Guys, most people don't answer unless you call them back to back, especially if they don't have your phone number. But if you call someone right in a row, they think that it's important. I actually that happened to me like 2 days ago. A car dealer was calling me and they called me once. I hit ignore. They called me again. I'm like, well, this must be important. I answered it and they got my own trick. They pulled it on me. But that's such a good tip there, Kaylee. It's just exhausting everything. What did you say to the neighbor? So think about like agents are missing opportunities all the time because they're not going to the neighbor's house and just talking to them. What do you say when you show up at the door?
Well, ironically, nobody came to that door, so I was kind of concerned, but I'm just going to say maybe they were in the shower or something. But if they did come to the door, I would have said, hey, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Kaylee. I'm the local agent here in whatever county. I had actually stopped by to see Miss Betty, but I just spoke with her. She's still at work. She had requested some updated benefits on, the final expense plans through the state. It's just my job to come out and go over those. Has anybody been by to go over those with you yet? I've got some time before my next appointment. I don't mind getting you checked off the list. Just being just offering your service. Like that wasn't aggressive. It wasn't salesy. It was just simply, hey, I'm here. If I can help, great. And all they can say is no. You'll never get that yes until you ask. So.
That's so true. I love that you're just nonchalantly offering your services, right? Like, guys, picture that. If you don't talk to each neighbor, you're missing so much of an opportunity. Like some of the biggest sales this past month have came from agents talking to neighbors. They weren't even leads. And there's been many days where had I not knocked on that neighbor's door, I would have ended the day at zero because none of my leads were at home, whatever the case was. So that's such a good tip. Okay, let's talk about building and selling, right? So you've pretty much mastered the personal production, right? If I gave you a lead, I'm like 99% confident that you would show up, sell them like that the first time, right? You're a very, very good agent. But then you also build at the same time. I know yesterday you said you were training a new agent. Walk an agent through that process, going from being just an agent to then being a team leader, a builder, and a coach. What's that look like?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot that goes into it. From just the start, the contracting, the paperwork side of it, but just being there kind of every step of the way. And really, I've learned over the years from when I first hired my first agent, which was my husband. But, things I look back and I'm like, wow, like I had no business hiring people back then just because I've learned so much over the years, but just constant pouring into, you have to think of, okay, whenever I was a new agent, all the things that I got from my coach and, everybody in my upline, but just like steadily role playing with them, like that's going to, you can't show them everything in 1 to 2, 3 days together. Right. So, I have been Zooming, I've been, doing different things with new agents that try to, help them get going. I want to hear your door approach. Okay. Instead of saying this, say this. All right, go ahead. Let's do it again. And, I'm going to help them critique that until they get it right. Like our trackers, there's a reason for those. If you have 10 door approaches and you didn't get any presentations, we've got to work on your door approach. If you did, one door approach and one presentation and didn't close it, like, why did you only do one approach? You need some more people to get in front of. We need to get you some more leads. So just being able to figure out where it is to help that person. I always encourage like a new agent when they first start, you've got to be coachable if you want to succeed. I'm here. Ryan, Alicia, Taylor are here. We're here to help you. So use us, use these resources, and, just being positive about everything and letting them know like that's what we're here for. So
being intentional like that's such a game changer. I love that you're doing the Zooms, the role playing. If you guys are bringing on agents and you're not doing that, they're just off on an island, right? They could be saying something just so far in left field because they're brand new. They don't know what they're doing, right? But if you can coach them like that, you're going to see such a big difference. And I think that's our job really, is to get that agent to the point where they want to be at. And the only way you do it is by doing it like what Kaylee was talking about. So Kaylee, how do you find agents?
I don't really find them. They find me. I mean, I know that I'm big on social media, like on Facebook. I share like things about my personal life, but I also, I've tried, especially this year, to get back into posting stuff on my business page, and that's going to attract people. So, just keeping that out there, and people are going to want to know, what is she doing? Why, she seems to have a great life and always doing this or that. And, just wanting to dig into what's she doing. So, like I actually added somebody on, or I add people on Facebook at random days, but, you just never know. People that pop up on you may, or whatever it's called, people you may know, like, hey, maybe they've been looking at my page. Let me add them. And so they can, see, follow me even further. So, I mean, it's just really a lot of the people that have joined my team I've known for a long, long time. So whether they've followed me on Facebook or just we've kept up throughout life, that's just, they follow you and somebody's always watching.
For sure. It's if you create that attention, you never really know who your next top agent's going to be. Like they're probably somebody that's watching your story, watching your Facebook, kind of like creeping on you a little bit to see what you're doing. And that person has so much potential in them. They're just waiting for the opportunity to come up, right? So I love that you're posting like that. Let's talk about this. So Kaylee, you've been doing this now. How long have you been licensed for? Is it coming up on 5 years?
August 2019. So coming up on 6 years.
Coming up on 6. So let's talk to the experienced agents about burnout, right? So doing this job day in and day out, it's inevitable, right? Like around the 2-3 year mark, especially getting into the 4th year, sometimes you start to feel that burnout of just, you've been grinding at it so long. How does an agent beat that?
Yeah, burnout is real. For those of you within the agency know my story a little bit, but yeah, it's real. And just looking back to when I hit my burnout and I went through that season of my life that I needed, but thankfully I came out on top. I became less and less engaged in WhatsApp. I became less and less engaged with my team. I became less and less engaged with, my uplines. I didn't reach out for coaching, like all the things that I try to remember that I did as a new agent. Like I was coachable. Now all of a sudden I'm no longer coachable. I was engaged all the time, and then I found myself not being engaged. Like I let the gratitude and the belief and everything just fade. And it got me in a deep, a dark place. And, it was a very, very hard time of my life. And so just, getting back, and getting out of that has been, I'm very blessed that I'm back and, better than ever. But I believe God puts us through things in life for a reason. So I hope that I can use this to inspire others. But, just make sure that you are, if you find yourself, not getting out of the house and not going out and working and treating this like a business, you've got to reach out to your coach and just say, hey, look, I'm in a slump. I need some help. Whether that be your agent or your direct coach getting in the car with you for days until you can get back with it, helping them getting them to hold you accountable, making sure, like, if you need to share your location with your coach to make sure you're getting out there, do whatever. You've got to just get back to it. And one of the biggest things that I have done this year is I like to set up my schedule on Sundays. I use the little, Apple calendar on my iPad and phone, and it's listed out every day, whether I've got appointments or I need a reminder to call this client, or this day I'm in the field from this time to this time. Communicating with your coaches, but also like with your spouse and your friends and your family. Like, hey, I'm going to be in the field these days. I need you to pick up our child from the babysitter this day, or I don't need you to text me at all today. I'm running, or, Joe, I didn't hear from Joe at all yesterday. He knew. And then I got home I don't even know what time, but anyways, and my child was like FaceTiming me on her iPad. Like,
with that big of a day, now you can buy him that old truck he wants, right?
Yeah. So my iPad was actually on 5% battery when I got home. So I need a car charger. But being intentional with your schedule. Whenever I was in my burnout phase, I kept telling myself, like, I just need more. I need something else. I need another license or something to like give me some oomph in my life. But it was just, I needed to take it back to the basics. I didn't need more. I just needed to go back to the basics. And so just continue to give yourself gratitude and like think of what life was prior to insurance. You've got to remember that. And there's nothing, like, you can't go back to that. Like, that's never going back there. So you've got to put in the work. You got to have the consistency, remain coachable, have that schedule in place. If you're struggling with leads or whatever it is, communicate that. Your coaches are here for a reason. They're here to help you if you're in a slump and need help getting back going. Just being more disciplined. I started all the bad habits that I had. I forced myself out of. I get up earlier now. I go straight, open my blinds, make my bed, go hop in the shower, wash my face. I took Adeline to the sitter this morning because they're on spring break, came back home, finished getting ready, like just a new norm for me that keeps me on track. And there's no reason I shouldn't show up for myself. When you show up for somebody else at a W-2, you can do that, but you can't show up for yourself. Like that, that's got to sink in, and you have to put in the work for you and your business and your family.
For sure. I couldn't agree with you more when you said, you kind of go through things, so then God puts you through those so that then you can help other people when they go through that. That's so true. And guys, a lot of times if you're in like a sales slump, or you're an experienced agent feeling burnout, or you're a brand new agent, right, and you got your first charge back, all these different things, you get to go through all those trials so then you can come out on top and help the next person that's inevitably going to go through the same thing. But if you never went through that before, how can you coach somebody? How could you build somebody up out of that if you don't know how to do it yourself? So kind of goes back to that verse, right? We should be glad when we get hit with trials, because it gives us a chance. It gives God a chance to show up, show us what he's capable of, right? And gives us a chance to show us what we're capable of. So I love that, Kaylee. Okay, let's talk about this. What's been your hardest thing to overcome as an agent? So we always talk about the highlights on these calls, but I like to talk about the hard stuff, because that way, when agents come into this, right, it's not all, highlights, right? There's some tough things out there as an agent, as a business owner that you got to overcome. So what's been the most difficult thing for you as an agent?
I mean, just in general, last year, like as a whole, like when I hit that dark spot and I was burnt out and, just that major slump in my life, just that was difficult. And I was trying to force myself to get out of this house, get out of the bed, get up and go to work. And I mean, it was tough. Like that was the toughest time I've had in this career. And, it was just, I lost the belief. I lost I just got out of, I made it more complicated. Like this job is simple. Like we have to keep to the basics, follow, what's the path that's laid out right in front of us. And it was just hard getting back into the routine and everything. And that was my most difficult thing. So I know we just talked about that, but that is.
No, I appreciate you sharing that story, right? Because there's so many agents that go through the same thing. The difference though, Kaylee, is a lot of agents quit when they go through that, and then they just get stuck. But, you didn't. You recognized it and then overcame it. And now I can just tell from talking to you, you're a different Kaylee compared to who you were even before that. You just have a lot more just like focus and drive. I can just sense like, the drive that you're coming back with. And I love seeing it. And yesterday's a testimony to that, right? 5K day while you're training a brand new agent, just on fire. So what's your goal? Last question for you, Kaylee. What is the goal for you this year? What are you running for?
So this year, I'm doing nothing less than 150K of individual business. I'm shooting for Scotland. And as far as a team goal, we have hit close to like just shy of 700K before, I believe it was, in a year. So I'm going for $1 million this year. The team has had insane growth lately. I think we're going to just keep on to the top, and why not hit $1 million? We're $1 million team, so we're gonna hit it this year. But my biggest like personal internal goal is to be the best version of myself. One thing I did was I went through all of my old trackers and I took screenshots of what my weeks used to look like, 10K, 10K, 10K weeks. I've got them saved in my phone now under a folder. I look at it every single day. I look at what I used to do, what I know that I'm capable of. And I'm like, I know what I can do. I know I can go out there and do this. Why not? And so just, being the best version of myself, which is that version. So that's my biggest goal for this year.
Love it, Kaylee. I know you guys are going to hit it. $1 million team hitting Scotland. It's definitely coming your way, but I appreciate you for jumping on here, sharing all those tips with us, and super proud of you for just everything that you've got going on since the start of this year. The team momentum, your personal momentum. I love seeing it. So super grateful for you, Kaylee. Thanks for jumping on here. Guys, that's all we got for you today. Let's go finish this week strong. We got today and tomorrow. Take Kaylee's tips and just run with them, and you're going to have the success that you just saw her have yesterday over a 5K day. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's go have a big weekend, and we will be back here on Monday.